Have you ever asked yourself why we spend so much of our lives trying to be accepted, trying to blend into circles, friend groups, workplaces, or systems that often don't even reflect who we are? From early on, we're taught that fitting in is the goal, but deep down, we're moved by the ones who never did. Those who inspire us, those who leave a mark, are the ones who refuse to shrink themselves to match their surroundings. They stood out, and standing out wasn't an accident. It came from intention and preparation. When you've taken the time to truly prepare, mentally, physically, emotionally, there's no room left for fear. Not fear of failure, not fear of judgment, not fear of the unknown. Preparation plants something deeper inside you. It creates a foundation that cannot be shaken by momentary defeat. Think about it. Even when things don't go your way, even when the outcome isn't what you expected, if you've prepared, you're already equipped to respond. That so-called failure becomes fuel. It doesn't define your ending, it refines your path. Too many people stop when they fall. They label the stumble as the finish line. But setbacks are a part of growth. Every misstep carries a lesson if you're willing to learn from it. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a necessary ingredient. It builds something within you that ease and comfort never could. It chisels away weakness and forges resilience. There is a part of every person, a hidden place that only awakens under pressure. In that place is frustration, rejection, moments of embarrassment, but also raw energy, potential, grit. That hidden place can light a fire in you if you learn to reach it and use it. I've been there. I've given every part of myself, my energy, my focus, my sleepless nights. I've stood in rooms where I felt invisible and still gave more. Not because I was guaranteed a reward, but because something inside of me refused to quit. You can pour your entire soul into something and still feel like it wasn't enough. That's real. But here's the truth most won't say out loud. Talent is everywhere. The world is full of gifted, brilliant individuals, people who were born with extraordinary abilities. You've met them. You might even be one of them. But talent alone isn't the difference maker. Effort is. Growth is. What separates those who move forward from those who stay stuck isn't raw ability. It's persistence. It's discipline. It's how you respond when your gifts don't automatically open doors. You have to take what you're good at and build on it. Hone it, practice, sweat, fail, try again, keep learning, keep sharpening, because eventually talent fades, and when it does, all you'll have left is what you built with your own two hands and unwavering will. Most people hit a wall in their journey, a plateau, and when they do, they look for the nearest exit. Maybe they switch jobs, maybe they leave relationships, maybe they chase a new opportunity because the current one feels too hard. They confuse difficulty with misalignment, but difficulty isn't a sign to quit, it's a sign to go further. The rare few, the ones who rise, they don't run from the wall, they face it head on. They refuse to stay stuck, they look closer, they study, they learn, they stretch their minds until they break through. These individuals aren't pretending. They don't fake passion. They aren't putting on a show. They've earned their strength through experience, through enduring hardship, not avoiding it. There's something powerful about mastering your craft. Whether it's your work, your art, your leadership, or your mindset, committing to growth creates depth. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Very few people today are truly dedicated to mastery. Most bounce from one thing to the next. They scatter their energy, always chasing what feels good for the moment. And when the excitement fades, they move on. They confuse stimulation with purpose, and so they stay restless, unfulfilled, disconnected. Mastery demands focus. It requires you to plant roots and stay there long enough to grow deep. So ask yourself, are you living to blend in, or are you building yourself to stand out? Are you preparing so thoroughly that failure only sharpens your edge? The power you seek isn't out there waiting. It's already within you, hidden under layers of trial, pain, repetition, and persistence. Those who learn to keep going, to keep growing, to keep sharpening through every moment, they don't need to chase greatness. They become it. We live in an age where appearance often outweighs authenticity. People mask their struggles behind polished photos, curated posts, and digital filters. The world celebrates highlight reels while real life, messy, raw, and unfiltered, gets pushed aside. We scroll through stories that feel more like performances than truth, where approval matters more than connection, and recognition is chosen over real love. But here's the thing, when life hits hard, when everything comfortable gets stripped away, there's no filter strong enough to hide the pain. That's when the masks start to crack. And when you reach that lowest point where your back is against the wall and silence feels louder than your thoughts, that's when change becomes possible. See, no one gets to transformation by skipping over discomfort. You don't stumble into strength, you build it, often one painful brick at a time. Sometimes you reach a point where you're willing to try anything, not because you're curious, but because you're desperate for direction. The journey back from rock bottom isn't glamorous, it's rarely instant. And most people won't applaud your progress when you're still in the mud. There was a time I found myself completely lost. Not figuratively, lost in every way. I was struggling to pay bills, borrowing from friends, and barely holding it together. I didn't know what the next day held. I just knew I couldn't stay where I was. I had to take a risk, not the kind that makes headlines, but the kind that forces you to change from the inside out. Every step forward felt like a gamble. I questioned if it was worth it, if the pain, the sacrifices, the late nights and long days would lead to anything. There was no crowd cheering, no medals waiting at the finish line, just a quiet, steady belief that if I didn't give up, something could shift. And something did, but not overnight. Not because someone handed me a break or life suddenly got easier. It changed because I chose to stop pretending, stop performing, and start building, piece by piece. Mistake by mistake, and eventually, win by win. What people often see is the after photo, the breakthrough, the success, the spotlight. What they miss is the storm that came before it, the nights filled with doubt, the mornings that started with empty pockets and tired eyes. But I don't regret any of it, because every broken part of that story helped shape the version of me that's standing here today. To anyone listening right now, feeling stuck, tired, or overlooked, hear this. You don't have to have it all figured out, but you do have to keep showing up, even when it hurts, especially when no one sees you. Your future is not written in the pain you're facing. It's shaped by how you respond to it. The world may tell you to chase popularity, but real fulfillment comes from being real. Authenticity isn't always loud. It doesn't always trend. It won't always get applause or rack up likes, but it will give you peace. And peace, real peace, is the kind of success nobody can take from you. Being real means standing in the mirror and saying, "This is who I am. This is what I've been through, and I'm still here." It's owning your story, all of it, the glory and the grit, the mountaintops and the mess, the breakthroughs and the breakdowns. Because if you only honor the highlight reel, you miss the parts of you that made you strong. You don't need a perfect past to build a powerful future. Hear that again. You do not need a perfect past to build a powerful future. You are not disqualified because of what you've been through. In fact, it's what you've survived that makes you qualified to rise. So maybe your story is a little messy, maybe it doesn't start with applause or end with approval, but it's yours, and it matters. You're not here to perform, you're here to live. Sometimes healing looks like walking forward while still bleeding. Sometimes strength looks like showing up even when everything in you wants to disappear. Progress doesn't always look powerful. It often looks like you getting up and trying again when no one sees it. But just because it's quiet doesn't mean it's not working. You just need to keep moving forward no matter how slow it feels. Even if you have to crawl, keep going. Even if you have to cry on the way, keep going. Even if you feel like you're the only one still trying, keep going. Because something sacred happens when you refuse to give up on yourself. You begin to shift, you begin to heal, you begin to rewrite the narrative they tried to hand you. So if this message stirred something in you, don't scroll past it. Sit with it. Don't rush into distraction just to avoid the discomfort. Don't hide behind fake smiles and polished captions. Be still. Ask yourself, what am I pretending doesn't hurt? Be honest. What haven't you grieved? What haven't you admitted? What part of you needs to stop performing and start healing? Because the truth is, healing isn't passive, it's intentional. It requires courage. And courage doesn't mean you aren't scared. It means you show up anyway. Your comeback story doesn't begin when things get easy. It begins the moment you decide not to quit. Not tomorrow, not when the timing is perfect. Right now, right here, this very moment you choose to believe that you are worth the fight, that you are worth starting over, that you are worth breaking cycles, that you are worth healing, even if no one claps for it. So breathe, stand up, take that one next step. Even if it's small, it counts. Even if it's shaky, it matters. Even if no one notices, keep going, because your story isn't finished and your future still has chapters no one's seen yet. And the version of you that you're becoming is going to thank you for not giving up today. If this message reached you today, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs that reminder. Comment below with one thing you're not giving up on. And if you're ready to rewrite your own story, start now. Hit that like button, subscribe, and walk with us through stories that don't just inspire, they awaken.